Good evening. How are you doing, Dan?
Well, going through the motions, mate. It's one of those days, isn't it? After the game yesterday, I'm a bit better than what I was this morning and last night, but
Oh yeah, what happened to you yesterday?
still a lot on my mind. Well, I got the ticket. Someone that I know on Twitter sent me the ticket. Got to me on time for the game, and then just everything went wrong. It was just one of those nightmares where I couldn't go. So I was supposed to go and didn't even go. So I spent the money on the ticket, and the ticket's still in my cupboard. But Ryan said that he'll try and sort me out to take the daughter to her first game and stuff to make up for that. So I'll be going Goodison instead. I think I'll be happier to go Goodison than that Newcastle game last night.
Oh, well,
it was a bit crazy.
For anyone watching now, I am just putting up some details. Thanks for joining us. Some regulars, some not some regulars, hopefully. Right, it's always good to be on here, but we're going to do a sort of a mini season review based on Everton Twitter, which is always a bit of an hilarious state. Hiya, Dave.
Give me a shout out.
Just for anyone, I'll have that scrolling across the bottom. But if you join us, thanks for joining us. If you, all right, Brian, that's a good point. We are going to touch on. I've got a bit of a video plan, a sort of running order here. So by all means, send if you do want to join. Hi, Brian. Hi, Dave. Hi, regulars. Hi, new faces. Do like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Share it. If you want to come on, you can. I mean, you're more than happy to come on webcam as long as it's all appropriate. If not, you're more than welcome to hop on just microphone. You can have a chat and we'll discuss, your questions if you've got anything in response to this, and then just send us a message. On Twitter. Yeah, I know, organisation tonight. Send me a message at Yanndalf1. You know where I am, Yanndalf the Blue, or have a look for my link on Follow Everton. They'll retweet my tweet. Drop me a message. I'll send you the link. We might be joined by Luke from School of Science. I've already got some messages.
Yeah, we just said before we come on, every now and then we'll do a wide one where we'll get a guest on. Anyone in the comments, if you've got the tools and you want to jump on, Jan just gave you the details. He'll accept you and come and give your thoughts and have a little entrance. We'll let you on. Have a say. School of Science will be on.
Yeah, Luke from School of Science, lovely chap. He's getting involved with Rainbow Toffees. But yeah, check out School of Science TV. I'm just responding to messages at the moment. I've had a couple of people asking if they want to come on. Francesco, if you're watching right now, mate, I'm just sending you a message back. Really appreciate it.
We don't know how this is going to go because this is the first time we're going to let someone on that we don't even know. But at the end of the day, if you're an Everton fan, I think you deserve a little
shout out.
Yeah, shout out. Why not?
Because honestly, we wouldn't be anything without you guys, and we really do appreciate it. So, yeah, we thought, well, after seeing after you and Jeff having a little bit of disagreement,
still going.
Really
we still had a disagreement earlier on Twitter, through comments. I suppose it's funny. It's entertaining.
Yeah. So basically, I think, shall we just dive right into it, Dan?
Yeah, well, you set up some points of what order we want to go through stuff.
Yeah.
Hi, just like a shout out as well. The way we want to go through stuff. So we'll go through the points and hit.
Yeah, well, I thought we'd start off with our last three matches, which has been interesting because when you look at them, our possession has been, it's been shambolic at best. We weren't great by any stretch of the imagination before then, but even Southampton, you could argue. We'll touch on that, but United at home, Tottenham away, Newcastle away. Our possession's been a little bit. Our possession statistics have been low. Our possession on the ball hasn't been incisive. There seems to be this lack of inspiration. Against United, we we were in the game, and I don't know how you felt, Dan, watching it, but when I was there, we scored. And I thought we could nick this, but we need to do something more. And then when we sort of sat back after 5 or 10 minutes, and it was just, I could almost see that we were, for lack of better words, pissing it away. And that's it. I mean, we're going to get on to...
Seem to massively be getting it wrong tactically, don't we?
Yeah.
I don't think we're set up. And an example last night was Newcastle. They went 1-0 up and they didn't sit back on it, did they? They probably had chances to go 2-3 in the end. They didn't sit back on the win.
Well, Robbie's brass tactic there. We've gone back to being shit again, in his opinion. Dave said the story of our season so far. We've been in all our games, but no end product. I mean, I think the reason why I highlight the last 3 games is we had a real dip in form against Manchester United. I mean, especially Idrissa Gana Gueye. And Brian highlights that we're going back to passing back and not holding the ball. You know, we're not able to stand off against the midfield, turn and find a pass and find something incisive. And it's evidenced. I mean, we'll get onto individual player performances. Because Brendan's just said before, would you bring Decore back in on Saturday?
I read that. I read that comment, and I'm the biggest one for saying now. I've already done some tweets and said I want Decore in my team because I just want change. If things ain't going right, and you've got players to change it, and you don't change it, that's where I start getting a little bit worried with Lampard because I want change. I mean, you could keep the same team and they could play well and smash the next game and bounce back. You don't know. Is it us getting impatient? This is the thing. I was so frustrated last night and I woke up even more frustrated. But as the day's gone out, I've tried to soften up. Next game's coming and I've tried to cool down a little bit because it's crazy. I said earlier on to someone, it's crazy because how football changes. It's football. We've gone from 6 games unbeaten, all hyped up saying, we've got the best defence in the league. We're 6 games unbeaten. We're going to get Europa League. And then all of a sudden, we've lost the last 3 games after that. And it changes everything. It changes your feelings and it feels all different now. And it feels like you could lose 4, maybe if Crystal Palace come up. And football, it's a big change of emotions of being an Evertonian. I tell you something, it's freaking stressful. It is stressful because we're the most bipolar team ever, ain't we? And we're up and down. You don't know what you're going to get, do you, sometimes?
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll do a real special thing. I was just sent. You know what we'll do now, because we're going to keep going through the order. But a fella, Francis, has just sent me a message. He's going to be going out soon, and I've just sent him a message. He's going to join as soon as he can, because hopefully he's got something fantastic, or, I think it'd be fantastic just to show that we want to get you on. But what we'll do is anyone who wants to come on, send me a message on Twitter or Dan or follow Everton. And what we're going to do is try and run through our running order, and, hopefully that'll address some things, give you, food for thought to raise your questions for us, because we don't have all the answers. We're just here scratching our heads as much as everyone else. Just someone's given us a soapbox and a megaphone.
Stars in your eyes. Who are we going to get?
So we're going to wait for Luke to come on. He'll join us and probably talk. We'll just tell him what we've talked about. Francis will join us. He's a regular watcher. So he'll join us as soon as he gets on. He's more than welcome to. I've just sent him a link there. But yeah, we've sort of talked about the last 3 matches. I mean, they talk. The performances speak for themselves. As people have said here, well, we'll get on to these individual comments. People are talking about. So yeah. In terms of the last match, Newcastle, seriously, lads, did you think we were going to beat them last night? Well, when I made my score prediction and Dan and I talked about it, and I know Dan is obviously always very positive, I thought it was going to be a tough match. But I'd like to, when I give that sort of 1-1 draw, I'd like to imagine that if we do everything right, if we hit them, if they get a goal, we can equalise. If we get a goal, they're probably going to throw everything at us like, all guns blazing. And, there's half of me that says, yeah, it's going to be a tough match. We might not win, or the odds aren't in our favour. But it's kind of a bit boring to say that, especially when Dan's like, yeah, we're going to win 7-0.
Yeah, I was like you, though. I said this is a hard game because I do think Newcastle are quite good. I think Eddie Howe's a cracking manager. And I said, you'll never get an easy game against Newcastle because Eddie Howe's got them 110% every player, every game. So if you go there, you're never going to get an easy ride. And that's what I wish we was like sometimes. All of our players was on it because that's where I feel like we're going wrong. But I generally feel that they didn't play that well. Yeah. We had 50% possession. They had 50% possession. So it was 50-50. We had enough of the game to do stuff. The difference is when they've got the ball, they've got confidence and they move it forward. When we've got the ball, we think 200 things going through our head and we end up moving it backwards and overdo things instead of just going out and playing football. That's the problem. I mean, I spoke to a lot of people, and the big thing for me that's hurt a lot of people last night, because I hear people say, oh, you said it's going to take time, so why are you moaning? Yes, we know it's going to take time. We understand that. But at least give us a shot on target. Like, no shots on target is a hard one to take at all.
I mean, Brian said it's okay sorting the defence and midfielders, but he's, we've all said it before, and he said it again. We need to sort of striker that can feed off of midfielder. And Son, well, I mean, I wouldn't say no to Hyun-Min Son. But Andy said there's nothing up front. We're there for the taking. But it's just, I know I mean, you guys are all making fantastic points, and I just feel that I might try and scroll through back later. Oh, so on. Yeah. Sorry, Brian. And we are going to sort of chop and change and go back and maybe address some of what you're saying. I just feel that at the moment we can't. Not that I do appreciate you adding in these comments, and guys do jump in and have a back and forth with each other. Really do think so. But in terms of those performances, it suggests to me that we need to see something different. I can see Luke is ready to join us.
Here he is.
Right. Well, it might not be ready. I can see he's in the back room. He's in the green room. Just if you can hear me, Luke, give us a thumbs up.
We've signed a striker.
Right. Well,
we've signed a winger, Luke. Look, I just heard David B say why you got your hat on. I ain't got it on for no particular reason. I just think I look badass with it on. That's the reason I've got it on.
Right, I think Luke's just getting settled. He'll give us a thumbs up when he's ready. Honestly, lovely fella, and a cracking footballer, to be fair. I mean, our performance in the last 3 matches has not been the kind of standard that we expect. But I mean, Andy made a point before, and I don't want to get anything personal here because it includes a comment about Luke's just gone. It includes a comment about Jeff, but so I mean, we have a variety of hosts on here, and we hope that we sort of cater to everyone's standards. But some people might say Dan's deluded living in cloud.
No. To be fair, with the me and Jeff like arguing on the channel, people liked it. I don't know why. We didn't do it deliberately either. We just got a difference of opinions, and it won't change. But the thing is, I when I was reading through the comments, some people said I was completely wrong and Jeff was right, and some people said I was wrong and Jeff was completely right. So we're keeping people happy, I suppose.
But Andy makes a good point. There's no end product. That's what he said. There's always the wrong choice. Garner has to start. He does look good, and that's what I've said. And we need that sort of creativity. Dave says the same thing in a different way. We've lost belief, and maybe that's how we see it going forward, is that we don't have that cohesive, incisive creativeness of going forward. There's no common sense in the ball. It just goes back. You think, and just to touch on that, Joe Linton got a deserved yellow, and then he bundled, was it Gordon? Or Onana over, literally like sort of threw him over, could have been a second yellow. And then Eddie Howe was smart and brought on Joe Willock for the second half.
Said that last night. There was 2 because Joe Linton could have got a second yellow. But I think the referee shouldn't give the second yellow because Gordon did the same thing, didn't he? Gordon got a yellow card, and then Gordon went and did a stupid tackle and could have got a second yellow as well. So it was kind of equal on that.
Right, Luke is ready to join us. Give us a thumbs up if you're ready, Luke. Well, I'm joining him anyway. He can always jump out. Hiya, Luke.
How's it going, guys? Apologies about that. Never used this app before, so I'm a little bit confused by it. Also, I am currently out on the door.
Oh, well, I suppose it's anything to get you in a bit of a better mood than being stuck in the house thinking about Everton all the time.
Say that again, sorry.
It's a good thing to get out of the house and get you distracted from staying in and thinking about Everton all the time.
Well, Dan will know from experience, I'm quite active in the gym, so I'm just walking back to my car from the gym. So in a way, I'm glad to not think about Everton and just think about when the other person's going to release the machine for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've just sort of covered before the last 3 matches, the dip in form and the lack of inspiration and creativity, which doesn't bode well necessarily for the next 4 games. I mean, we've got opponents that are mid-table, doing better than us. Arguably, they've got more goal scorers than us. Even though Leicester are bottom, they've scored twice as many goals. And on top of that, Bournemouth, who you'd think we might do well against, we play them in the cup beforehand, so they might get a chance to sort of suss out our tactics.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from in that regard, but chances are with Everton, they don't. When it comes to the cup, they do switch things up a little bit. I mean, I would probably say the likes of Vinagre will probably get a look in, rather than say Mikalenko. You'd see maybe Tarkowski make way for Holgate alongside Cody. Garner will probably get a look over, say, Onana or even Garner. I mean, they'll experiment a bit, so it'll make it like a different game for Bournemouth in the cup versus Bournemouth in the league. I think that's the sort of one that we're hoping for anyway.
I mean, you'd have to think, based on our situation, you'd have to imagine that Lampard might only pay lip service to the League Cup because at the moment survival in the league is a priority, don't you think?
Oh, definitely. Survival is absolutely critical. I don't care if we get knocked out in the next round of Bournemouth and then the FA Cup before, let's say, the 4th stage. As long as we do well in the league this season, that's paramount.
Yeah.
The league is our major stepping stone point that we need to focus on right now. So let's say we finish 12th or 13th. I'll be happy with that, quite frankly, because as you've said, we've only got 3 strikers we can rely on, and then being Rondon, Calvert-Lewin, Mope, and none of them have got that little bit of finesse to try and actually hit the back of the net on the regular. We need, to be honest, I would be tempted to try and get Lukaku back if we could ever get him back.
That is very wishful thinking. I mean, what's he doing at the moment? Is he playing or is he on the subs bench languishing? Or
the last thing I did read, it said Inter don't want to sign Lukaku from Chelsea because he's let his fitness go and everything. They didn't get the Lukaku that they had the first time, so they're going to send him back to Chelsea and not actually sign him. But I do think that Lukaku was the best striker that we've had for a long time. But I think he's going downhill, to be fair, maybe because of his head and his ego.
I will just say, by the way, there's a lot of comments here, and obviously, Luke, please do chip in. But sort of, we're going to, as we said, we'll discuss the last 3 matches, how it works for the next 4. And player performances, I think we'll touch on now as to maybe what we want to see in improvement. And then that'll sort of segue into transfer acquisitions and targets in January. And then we'll sort of recap it with season expectations. And just because there's been rumours, there's constant media rumours, but there's always rumours now on Twitter. We're going to sort of talk about our feelings about Lampard. It's not going to be anything particularly controversial. So, just so you know our running order, and anyone in the comments there, just so you sort of feel more in part of it and you know where we're going. And obviously, if you said a comment, please do comment it again later, because there's quite a lot coming in here that I can't necessarily always relate back to. But that's we've got Francis here. Who is
this is a mad one. We get different people. Stars in your eyes. If you want to come on, make an entrance. Let's find the Toffees all over the world.
Right, Luke, we've got we're doing a bit of a phone in where anyone can drop me a message on Twitter, and they're more than welcome to join. Just waiting for Francis to set up maybe his microphone, and as soon as I can see that on there, I'm more than happy for him to jump in. Yeah, Francis, I'm going to let you join now. Hello, mate.
Hello, lads.
How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, could be better, but that's the life of being an Evertonian, isn't it? Thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you very much for having me on today.
Not a problem.
I've been watching your show for a while now, and you're all brilliant.
Thank you.
Who's the new fella, bottom right?
That's a fella called Luke from School of Science TV. I met him a few times at Rainbow Toffees. Honestly, Robbie, Francis, we have somebody thinking that you're not real, that it's Ryan again. But I actually had, you're a genuine profile on Twitter, so it's definitely not Ryan, by the way.
Absolutely not. There's no way completely that this is. I'm just. You can see for yourself now. I'm absolutely not Ryan. I'm just a regular guy. I've been watching your show for a while. I think you're absolutely brilliant, boys. Fantastic. In fact, it was Bill Kenwright personally invited me to the channel, and I don't know why you're laughing at me, son. That lad before, he couldn't even afford to put a candle on so he could see his face. At least I'm putting my camera on. And you're accusing me of being someone else.
Oh.
This phone-in's not going to last more than 5 minutes with your attitude, son.
God, Kevin and Barry.
Luke, I'm very sorry for this.
Oh, my.
Why is he laughing at me?
Oh my God, that is. I thought I was good with the face paint, but completely outdone.
Right. I feel that. I feel that if Ryan wants to self-sabotage the channel that he runs,
is that Ryan though? Is it Ryan?
I don't quite understand what you guys are going on about. I am not Ryan. I am Francis. And I've said to you, and I'm now feeling very upset that I've come on your channel. I've been watching and been subscribed to for months and months and months. And the two of you have got the cheek to sit there and accuse me of being someone else. You know what? I'm going to go and watch another channel. I'm going to go and stick Toffee. You bastard. You absolute bastard.
Ryan's got more of a beard than that, and the beard's blonde. Is that a fake moustache?
It's not a fake moustache. Listen, can we get to the point? I'm not happy with Everton this season. Absolutely terrible. You buy shite, you get shite. Your results are garbage. The manager doesn't know what he's doing. And I personally would go out and bring someone like Martin Jol or Harry Redknapp, steady the ship for 6 months, and then sort it out. So anyway, that's all from me. And absolute pleasure, and I'll see you soon.
Right, well, I think we've lost Robbie.
Apologies about that, guys. Am I all good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
how are you doing?
sorry
about that, Luke.
Just jumping between. Sorry, I'm just jumping between bloody Bluetooth and everything, and it's giving me hell.
Oh, no worries, mate.
Yeah,
if you want to rejoin us when we get home, you're more than welcome to. It'll be the same link that I've sent you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice. But yeah, what that fella was saying there, second Frank Lampard, that's way too premature right now. I mean, right now we've got bigger issues than Frank Lampard. He's trying to actually help out everything. I mean, our defence is much better than what it has been in the past. Our midfield is much better than it is in the past. The only missing piece is the striker. So for anyone to come out and say that Frank's the problem, then I'm sorry, but he's not. I mean, he sold Richarlison, who granted is probably one of our better strikers at the time, and he was probably the missing link that we need. If we would have sold Calvert-Lewin over Richarlison, I think we'd probably be pushing the top 6 right now.
I've just had a message from one of our regulars as well. Lovely fellow, always makes sense, always has a bit of back and forth with some of the other viewers. And I won't reveal who it is until he's on here. But yeah, it'd be an absolute pleasure because, you're all part of this Follow Everton community. No, you are right. I think we're going to kind of culminate in that because, or maybe you can phrase it in a way, and maybe I'll alienate some of the viewers here, but we kind of agreed in the group that it'd be wrong to sack Lampard. And in my, at least maybe I've spoken the loudest and shouted everyone down because, you know, although there might be questions over his in-game tactics and substitutions, sacking would be bad because not only do we lose the cachet and the prestige and his ability to attract the signings that Thelwell's identified in the targets, we could equally end up in a situation like where we did with Coman and Rafa, only we're not going to attract a top caliber manager with that kind of prestige and standard, and we'd just become a joke. It'd be a poison chalice. No one would want to join us, and it would just be a nightmare. And I think, you know, it just creates further instability. So that's jumping all around there. But in terms of player performances, we're going to get back there. But we are just joined by Dave. If you can still hear me, Dave, if you're on this, can you maybe mute if you're watching on anything like Facebook or YouTube, or close it for now and give us a thumbs up, and you can jump in whenever. Oh, well, I'll add you now. See, it is. We are joined by Dave Weston. Hiya, Dave.
All right, Jan.
Hiya, mate. How are you doing? Good to have you on.
All right, yeah. How's it going?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's good to be. It's good to have you on, mate. But it's been better. It's been worse. The end of last season. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Yeah. Still reading the Nigerian Post.
I can remember that one.
Oh yeah, that was daft. You know, it's nice to have these in jokes, mate. Do you have just stuff you want to share, or have you got a question, or do you just want to be in with this and chip in?
Well, I'll just crack on and listen to what you guys have got to say, and please throw in some words of advice.
Oh. Yeah, of course. I mean, I thought we were going to move on now to player performances because, in my mind, if you're all right with that, Dan, Luke.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll kind of hit different subjects. Like we say, some people we've given them a chance to come on because you're all in the comments all the time. You make this channel, so we've done a random one to let you come on, and you haven't got the speakers that we've got, so you won't sound as clear as us. But I just think it's cracking to get to see you and stuff like that. Why not? Give you a chance.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I will brass tack it. I don't want to personally attack players. It's just based on their performances. You know, it's not, I don't love them any less, but Gordon against United was absent. Garner against United was shambolic, I think, and we gifted them both the goals. Gray against Newcastle. I mean, I think there was something missing in terms of spirit and connectivity and incisiveness against Spurs, but Gray against Newcastle was, I think, I wouldn't say to blame for the goal because it sat up on a plate, but well, actually, I will say to blame for the goal because he didn't track back. He was jogging the other direction and didn't close Almiron down, which is either if it's not going to left back, where he's, you know, our left back, he should be covering that position. And I feel that we're missing that firepower. The players aren't switched on, and I've seen better performances from Championship sides. And to tie that in, it's like if we don't have those players that are going to give us what we expect, it's. I came up with this boxing metaphor, and I don't know if anyone there is a boxer or you watch boxing or anything, but last season, we were like a boxer who had their hands down, and they weren't. They had their hands down and they were leading with their head, and they were open up to knockout punches. Whereas this season, we've got our hands up, you know, we've got a better stance, we're covering our face, but we're not throwing any punches. We don't have a knockout punch, so we're always waiting to the counter to eke out points or hope for a draw, and we're not landing anything. So you can always expect to be on the back foot in a match, and it's just it's so frustrating to know that we have the solid defence, we have a world-class keeper, and we have some midfielders that are capable of so much more, and then it just pisses me right off. Sorry. I'll throw it open to Dave or Luke if you want to comment on that. And, you know, I'm sorry for going on a bit of a rant there, but...
No, everything you've just said there, Jan, I agree with. The fact of the matter is we have no creativity in the team. Gray constantly runs down dark alleys and can never see the easy ball. And 9 times out of 10, runs along the sideline, gets dispossessed. Gordon's the same. He just relies on his pace. He couldn't even beat Dan Burn last night for pace. You know what I mean? 6'7". He should be skinning him all day long.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's frustrating because we've got one of the best ever goal scoring midfielders as our manager, but yet we can't get goals from midfield.
It is very frustrating. I mean, I don't know what to see with DCO returning. You'd have to wonder whether he's fit enough. Somebody said before. Well, Andy says Iwobi was off it last night. Gordon's not good enough. Gray out of the gate. Yeah, I'd agree. I don't think Iwobi was necessarily off it, but he was too passionate in chasing the ball down. That he wasn't necessarily tactically aware. He was too hungry, and that emotion bubbled over to sort of shoot himself in the foot.
Do you think we've got to be more brutal though? Because Iwobi's been cracking, but he wasn't as good this game, because this is a game where we needed Iwobi to get on the ball and do something, create. Like if you look at those three centre midfielders, Onana, Garnagay, and Iwobi, there was all shocking. I thought, like going forward. They didn't do anything like going forward. So, I
personally think that Iwobi was bad. You know, he wasn't the worst player on the pitch by any stretch of the imagination. Considering how he's been playing, he had a little dip in form last night.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
We're very tired of him. You know what I mean? And because he didn't perform to that level last night, everyone's slating him. Now, to me, he looked like the only person that was going to create something in our midfield, and then Frank dragged them off.
Yeah.
Now, whether that was, in hindsight for the Crystal Palace game, obviously DCL got dragged off because he's played like 5 minutes of football in the season. You know what I mean? But that was after 73 minutes. You could understand why he dragged them off. But for me, instead of bringing Mopai on, I would have put Rondon on if he was on the bench, because you're swapping like. We needed somebody to hold the ball up front. Yeah. Just can't we hit the ball through midfield? We'd get dispossessed and lose it.
I mean, I personally, I'd have taken Gray off because Gray or Gordon. Because Gordon was on a yellow, could have got us down to 10 men. We could have got bent over and spanked and embarrassed. But if you push Iwobi out to the wing, bring Garner on for, and shore up the middle, and then we'd have that defensiveness. Iwobi would have had the speed to cover the wing backs or their attacking players, and might have actually given us something creative. Might have allowed us to sort of push forward and have something, because he has that. He does have that ability to be able to hold the ball. And I mean, Onana's got something in terms of raw product there. I do think he's not quite, he's clearly not quite polished yet. What did you think of him in the match?
Yeah, it was like a lot of running about with not a lot else more than like throwing his long legs in for tackles. He's only 21, the lad, but he seems to love the Blues. You can't take that away from him. But we need to see something more from him than just that. Like he doesn't seem to win enough headers for a lad 6'7". No, his finishing abilities atrocious. Heading abilities atrocious. Just hope that Frank can sort of polish that rough edges out of him.
Yeah.
But
I think with Onana though, I think like you said, when we brought him, we knew straight away that he's someone that's going to be good. Like everybody said, in 2-3 years' time, Onana's going to be a 50-60 million player. That's why West Ham wanted him so much. He's going to be good. But the problem is with us, because we were so poor last season, we're bringing in young players, but we expect the young players to be at their best now, but that's never going to happen. It's the same with Gordon as well. Gordon, I said to someone earlier on, Gordon's only 21, and I've seen loads of people giving him grief on Twitter and stuff when he did a post saying, I'm glad to be back, and loads of people were saying like really bad stuff to him, and I said, he's only 21. He's got loads of time on his hands to tweak out his performance and become the perfect player. He's no doubtedly got loads of talent, Gordon has, but he needs to, I think he's going to get better by playing the game because you'll learn by your mistakes. That's how football works, isn't it? And I think a lot of our players being young, we ain't got the time for them to grow.
This is the thing, though, Dan, right? At the end of last season, Frank Man, everybody.
It's cutting up bits and bobs. Shame we ain't got your microphone because we could hear you better. It's because you need a microphone.
Sorry, Dave. It's cutting out a little bit. Can you just repeat that, mate?
Just saying that at the end of last season, Frank got the team and the club and the fans, the whole team galvanised. We're all pulling in one direction. But I think back then, like, from the fans, like, especially at the Man United game, the home game, every time there was a misplaced pass or, the ball was passed backwards, it was groans out the crowd. We don't need that. We need to be pulling in the same direction. But I'm also thinking, once Godfrey comes back and Patterson, that's going to be able, like we touched on it last night about the defence and the midfield being so far apart. Once Godfrey can get that pace at the back available to us and Patterson, that gap should close and we should be able to be more attack minded. Don't you think?
The league is for me. I think about it all the time. I love thinking about football and I love thinking about Everton, but I hate it at the same time. The thing is, with football now, the standard the Premier League is, you can't afford to not be doing well in any position. Like our left back and right back, Coleman and Mikalenko at the minute, ain't getting forward. And if they're not getting forward, you struggle. Like, say if Coleman gets forward and Mikalenko but I prefer it with Patterson, to be fair. When your right back and left back gets forward, then Gray and Gordon can cut in and get closer to DCL and be more dangerous in the box. But because they're not getting forward, you just end up with your wingers, and your wingers stay out wide.
Yeah, but I just put a comment on before that brought that Joe Willock on last night, right? And one of his first things that he did was bursting from midfield into the box. We don't have one of those players in the midfield. We don't have it. We haven't had it for years. You know what I mean? Decore was meant to be that, but he's not that. He's never been played to that goal.
I think Decore could come back decent, because the thing is with Decore is, I know he sometimes hasn't got the football brain for the pass, but he's more driving. He will run past players. And the problem is with Decore is he played with bad number sixes with Allen and Gomez. So it was always kind of Decore was the best centre midfielder out the lot, but he had to always help them out. And it kind of interfered with his game, Decore, where I feel if Decore, with him being out so long and having a big think, if you put him back in, I think he'll be hungry, and I would love to see what Decore's got now, because he played against Chelsea with Iwobi, and he wasn't that bad. And I thought he was okay. So I definitely think he deserves a chance if the rest ain't doing it.
It's just his lack of legs, and he's not very quick.
He's got the stamina, and he'll press. He'll keep running all game, but he hasn't got the super sprint speed, has he, I suppose?
I mean, can I ask you guys, do you think... Oh, sorry. Is that Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That's me. Sorry. Just a quick one. I mean, granted... Yeah, sorry about that. I've been trying to I've never really used this app before, so it's a little confusing. I've managed to get it onto the earphones, so it's a little bit better now. I was just going to say, regarding Decore, now granted he's not quick by any means. He's got a decent amount of pace, but it's not compared to, say, your attacking midfielders, say like your De Bruyne or Haaland sort of esque players in terms of pace. I mean, granted, I'm comparing them to some of the best on the planet. But the one thing I like about him is his tenacity when it comes to running with the ball. It's very hard to dispossess him when he's on the run. Like the Tottenham FA Cup game when we had him under Carlo, he just bombed it right through, ran through, and no matter who was either side of him or behind him, he just basically fixated on the goal and said, right, this is going in the net or I'm going to die trying. And that's something we kind of miss right now. I mean, Calvert-Lewin, this is one thing I've said about him, even when he was under Ancelotti and getting bloody hat-tricks left, right and centre. He's good on the head, but with the ball at his feet, he looks like Bambi on ice. He's fumbling around. He doesn't look confident with the ball at his feet, which is a big issue because especially in this league now, they know that his header is his best quality. So what they do is they just crowd him out so he cannot get the airtime to actually get the ball because chances are there's going to be a defender who sees him going for the jump and goes, I'm going to preemptively jump you. So you can't get that jump in. You can't get that clean header. You're going to struggle to get that header off now because of me. And
it's in the same way that Onana's become a target. You know, even early on against Fleetwood, he's been targeted. In the same way that Arteta used to be. You know, I mean, but there's loads of comments here, by the way, about we need a better front three. Simple as that. You know, Gordon's the same. It's hit and miss. Mope's decent, but he's not a number 9 all the way. Blue Nose, you know, welcome to everyone joining us. Appreciate it. So he's talking about maybe acquisitions in January, which we're going to sort of move on to. Kudus plus another striker. So while moving on, Mina and Rondon, he agrees that playing Decore, Gay losing the ball too easily or poor passing has to stop for me. Now, I do think that it's become this issue of, are we expecting players to be better than they are?
I generally
go on, Dave. Go on, Dave.
Sorry.
Really, but the recruitment was good in the summer, or we thought it was good. You know what I mean? And they've had a pre-season under the belt with Frank, and you know, obviously he's sort of style of play, but they revert to type when they're under pressure. They just knock it backwards. We all have to go back to build, but you don't have to go back every time you get the ball, and that's all down to confidence. Players have not got the belief in themselves to go, oh, we had it. There's Gordon outside the ball for it. They haven't got
That's
that.
it. It's so frustrating to see that, to see the ball go to a midfielder, and then instinctively, it's almost like it's drilled into him like a habit to just turn and to look for, rather than give and go and then run it like turn his man, you know, while passing it in the other direction to then get the ball passed back to him in front. You know, it's almost like, okay, back to the centre backs, and we start from square one again with the opposition entirely all behind the ball. So I
think you're bang on with what Dave said. Obviously, like, we'll get the speakers on you next time properly, but you're right. It's interesting to hear what you're going to say other than our opinions. But it feels like, for me, on what you've just said, when I watch it, it looks like the players don't want to make the mistake, so they pass it and get rid of it quick instead of holding on to the ball and saying, I want the ball. I want to be the person that shines in this game. I want to make a name for myself. They haven't got that sort of confidence. And that's what frustrates me, because I do feel like there are good players in some of these players, because they are all good and we've seen it. I've had some arguments because people say the shit, like this attitude, they're not good enough. They are good enough if you can get them all playing well. Some of those Newcastle players last night wasn't that good. Byrne, Murphy, but Joe Linton, but their manager has got them playing to the best. And if they're playing to the best, then Newcastle are good enough. And that's what our players should be doing. They should all be playing to the best. But I'm not saying Lampard out, but I want Lampard to get better out of what we've got, because I still feel like with us, the signings that we've got, like you said, Dave, they're good signings. This team should be stronger than last season.
Yeah.
Peter's just said creating chances isn't exactly something we're spectacular at, but is it really the main issue with us? Is it more accuracy in front of goal? Well, to be honest, 0 shots in the second half. You know, 1 shot the entire match.
Shots on goal in 180 minutes. No shot target in 2 matches.
Hard. That's what's hard to take, I think. Go on, Dave.
It's not good enough not to have at least, you know, test the goalkeeper in at least one of them matches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you know, going away to Spurs, we were great first half, and then one mistake, and this is the knock-on effect of why the players haven't got the confidence to thread the ball through midfield, or for a midfielder to get beyond the defender, because of the mistakes that had happened the previous 2 games. they're like, oh, well, like Iwobi losing the ball, Garner losing the ball. It's like, oh, I can't afford to lose the ball here because if that leads to a chance, the crowd's going to get on me back. That's how they feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen like, I generally think when we won the 2 games against Southampton and who else did we beat? We won 2 in a row, didn't we? West Ham. I generally thought our centre midfielders looked confident, and I thought we was growing because they were starting to build a bit of confidence. And then I feel like we played Man United, and obviously Iwobi and Garner Gay lost the ball to make us lose the game. The confidence went then completely, and then the Spurs game knocked the confidence even more because all we did is sat back and we didn't even have any possession. And then when we come up against a game like yesterday where we can actually go and play, all our confidence had been knocked from the 2 losses that we had against the games before, and you could see it. So football is a massive confidence game, isn't it, for strikers, midfielders, or anyone? And we've just got to build that back up.
Look at Arsenal, right?
Yes.
Nobody tipped them to be top of the league at this stage of the season. They had quite an easy start to the season, gained momentum, and have just kept that momentum rolling. You know what I mean? And we've had, 1 defeat against Man United. Oh, no, 2 defeats, was it? No, 1 defeat against Man United. So it's all about momentum. I wish we'd have had the start of the season they had.
But the thing is, though, with Arsenal, I can remember that. I don't know if you watched that Arsenal TV thing. They was absolutely fuming because Arsenal had a patch like us where they was really bad and they was near the bottom of the league, weren't they, when Arteta first come in? And the fans was going absolutely crazy, Arteta out. And they wasn't happy for about 1-2 seasons. It hasn't happened for Arsenal overnight. It's took them 2 seasons for Arteta to get this team. And for us...
Can I pose the question? Would we be thinking the same thing had we... Okay, we played very well at the start of the season against Chelsea. If we'd have drawn, which is, they're a good team, and I'd have accepted a draw at home, a 0-0. And especially without, with the situation we had. And Mina, was it that game? Mina got injured straight away.
Godfrey and Mina.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'd have accepted a draw with that. I mean, would we really be saying the same thing if we'd have had a point there, if we'd have got a point at Aston Villa? Because that was early on in the season, and we were very unlucky against Villa to not necessarily not to win, but to concede and lose. If you can see what I'm saying by that.
I think that's what makes us greedy as well, though, is the fact that we ain't been majorly shit. You can see that we can be good, and that's what gets me. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, positive, Dan," but I can see. I know some people say, "Oh, we need the window," but I still think we can do better with what we've got. And I can see that players can be good, but we're not getting the best out of them, which makes you want the best out of them. It's very frustrating, like last game, when you know for a fact that there wasn't all trying and they can be better. It's hard to accept that as a fan. I can accept that it's going to take time for us to be where we need to be, but I can't accept that frigging all those fans travelled up to Newcastle and long travel to put all the frigging wages up towards tickets and stuff to go to the game.
0 shots on target.
And then we've not made no effort to have shots on target. We played 3 centre midfielders and look like we've got no energy in centre midfield. And we're not even closed their shot down. Gray hasn't been bothered to get back. And this is, I'm not saying Lampard out, but I do think sometimes, like when you see players make the same mistake, why does Lampard not go at them? Like, does he not correct it? Does he not say to Gray, make sure you don't do that again? Because I'd like him to be a bit more stricter. Because I feel like some of our players, if you relax on them, they will relax. We've seen that last season. If you do relax on them, they'll relax. But I want Lampard to be brutal on them and say, because I feel like our players need pushing, especially with them being young. You need someone to give you a kick up the arse. How do you feel on that?
Maybe a kick up the arse is a shake-up in the starting, because we've seen a very similar starting 11, and only really the major change was DCL. I mean, obviously there's tweaks here and there, and Gordon was suspended. But Blue Nose, David agrees with Blue Nose. Should Lampard shake it up against Palace? With Garner and Decore.
Garner should start. I think. 2 little cameos that he's come on. I think he's showing enough.
Oh yeah, he's been explosive with that.
I think you can tell with Garner. You can tell straight away, and it sounds stupid. You can tell by his posture when he receives the ball. Like, do you remember? I don't like to mention Arteta. We spoke about Arsenal, but Arteta was one of them where when he gets the ball, he looks like a magician, a craftsman. Just the way they received the ball, he looked tidy. Arteta did, and Garner, you can see when he gets it, he's proud to receive the ball and he looks up and he wants to move. He is a very, very good player. I can tell straight away, and it'd be stupid not to play him.
Have anybody making any movement?
That's the problem as well, Dave. That's what I've been saying. That there's no pass and move. It's just pass to whoever's free.
He looks stationary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. I think the same. It doesn't look like people are busting the guts to make an option. And if we need Lampard's got to try and get them to pass in triangles, especially if you play free in centre midfield. You should be able to break the lines. It doesn't look like they know each other or play together, does it? Sometimes,
no, because it's almost like there's. I mean, this is certainly tongue in cheek, but it's almost like they're choosing to play poorly to boycott the World Cup because they don't want to get selected for their national teams. But that makes me wonder though, who of our players, is in serious contention to be selected for the national team, their respective nations.
I can name them for you. So Pickford, Cody, Patterson, Mikolenko, Idrissa Gana-Gueye, Alex Iwobi, Onana, and that's it, really.
Decore from Mali? Oh, no, they didn't qualify. Sorry.
No. Did you say? I think you said Cody as well. Cody's one that's in the England team as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's sort of on the outskirts of it, but he's definitely one of the included.
50-50.
Scotland qualify for the World Cup?
No, that was the Nations League we got kicked out of. It's basically like the Euro thing.
All right.
Hold on. Me and Jeff could be getting on again here. I've just seen this. I agree with Dan. This one is Frank does need to get tough on the players. Jeff that comes on the channel, one of the members of the channel. Oh, me and Jeff might be agreeing with each other again for now.
Well, Jason says Lampard comes over as too nice.
I mean, the thing is, so we can say that he's too nice, but the thing is, he's implemented a fine system. So you can say he's nice, but he's also an absolute ball buster. So if you come late or you are doing anything that's out of line in these set of rules, you get fined a hell of a lot of money. So if you're late once, I believe it's a £500 fine. If you're late again, it's £1,000. And it just keeps increasing until you finally get there on time, unless you've got a good reason why you're late to training and all that. There's a lot of things that he's implemented into that thing to try and knock, like the luster sort of attitudes when it comes to training out of it.
Can I just
Dan, can
I just jump in? Dan, Dave, Luke, revisit that point because obviously we're on to Frank's mentality here. But I just want to say, if anybody from the club is watching live or watches this afterwards, I just think it's your social responsibility that those fines that you're taking off the players is then given to charitable organisations that help the local community. Because especially with the cost of heating and food banks and everything, please tell me that money is going to a good cause.
I believe it would probably get siphoned into Everton and the community more than likely.
Or send it to Dave Weston at Barclays.
and hopefully that declines and send it to the below Toffee Dan.
And if that one declines, send it here.
Because like you say, that's a big fine. I mean, you look at the fine that Lampard got just for saying freaking referees. Well, just for calling referees out for doing what they was doing last. It's crazy. The money in football.
Dave Weston spelled Yannndal. Yeah, sorry. I mean, so to go back to that Lampard thing, Lampard comes over as too nice, but he's implemented the fine. But if we don't, there we go.
I was just going to say, Jan, there's pros and cons. Every manager's got different styles. You've got some that's like Carlo, relaxed and just tries to make everybody confident in the camp. And you've got some like Tuchel and Conte that completely go nuts if players make mistakes and push them. And you see him on the touchline. Like if Gordon's getting yellow cards, Gordon wouldn't dare to get this many yellow cards if he had Tuchel, because he'd go absolutely mad and give him a bollocking. And it's the same with Gray. If Gray didn't get back and Tuchel seen Gray not getting back, he'd be coming off or he'd be going absolutely mad at him. And it seems like some of our players they get away with it. And that's why they do it again.
you want the players to take it seriously, and I think Jeff makes a good point here to carry on from what you said, Luke, about the training. And you know, it might be hard with them behind closed doors, but it's not about training. It's about going mad with the players on the sidelines. Get animated. Get absolutely, you know, because if Blue Nose said Gordon's not shown us he's worth the money like Chelsea were prepared to pay. Like, I understand, you know, there needs to be that trust between a manager and his coaching staff and the players, so that they're not going to take it too personally, but they're going to know that they have to keep going. Like, okay, I can understand Coleman just missed the ball very slightly and it trickled over the sidelines in the game against Newcastle. And, you know, that's not the kind of thing where you get mad at. But when a player makes a clear and obvious poor decision, you know, you tell them, what the hell do you think you're doing? You need to, you know, wake up and switch. Otherwise, I'm going to sub you, you know, or something to that effect, that you need to wake up. And
that's what I would like to see Lampard do more, because sometimes it's just sit and watch, and you know that something like it's going wrong, and it's just waiting for it to go wrong. Where I want Lampard to frigging, because we can all, when you watch the game, Man United was an example. You could see it's going to go wrong, and you're thinking to yourself, do something, because Lampard's been slow on his subs. That's a fact. I don't know whether you lot think the same. He's been slow on the subs.
We should not be in the position where we're having to fight to get a goal back, to get a draw when we were a goal up in a match, and we have to fight, and then still end up losing.
I mean, to say the God's honest truth, he's not just slow with the subs; he's using them too sparingly. I mean, we've got 5 subs to exploit. We've got players on that bench who were first team, say last season before. Are we saying that they have fallen so badly off a cliff that they aren't even fit to come on as a sub? I mean, you've got last game, I think we had, 4 midfielders,
I'll
2
be back
defenders.
in a minute. You carry on, Luke. I think Dave wanted to say something as well there, but I'll just be back in a sec.
Yeah.
We'll let Dave jump in after you. Go for it. Go on, Luke.
Okay, man. I mean, the fact that he had, like, I think it was 4 midfielders, 2 strikers, 2 defenders, and the keeper. He didn't have any other option to try and switch it up a bit. So when we're not scoring, why not maybe, you know, take one of the midfielders off? So let's say, for argument's sake, Onana wasn't pulling his weight. Onana comes off, bring God Mope, put him alongside Calvert-Lewin. You've then got 2 up front. You've got 2 in the midfield, 2 wide, your defence and your keeper. It brings that, it just changes the dynamic ever so slightly. And let's say, for argument's sake, we're a goal up against, say, Man City. In that situation, is he going to carry on playing with the same guys he's got? I wouldn't. I mean, what I would do is absolutely shut the barn door on them. I would close up shop as quickly as possible. I'd say, okay, sweet, we've got our goal. Iwobi, you're going to come off. Holgate, you're going to come on. You fall in. We're going to be a 5 at the back. Garner, you're going to come on. You're going to take the place of, say, Damari Gray. You go alongside Idrissa Gueye, and you guys hold up the fort as well. So technically, it could be a 7. You hold it like that. You make it so that other team has absolutely no chance. And granted, it's boring. It's Italian-style football, but it's the best sort of football you can get if you want to get 3 points, and you just don't have the, say, quality or the team or the depth to try and, you know, push like a team that if you 1-0 up, you can't push for like 2, 3, or even 4.
I'm going to put it on Dave now. Just a quick one on that, onto what you said, because I'll try and go with talk about what you say. But I do think that we don't now we've got a strong bench, and the bench does look strong, which it didn't last season. We don't use what we've got, like you say, against Man U. You go 1-0 up. You've got the option. You've got Decore on the bench. You've got Garner on the bench. You can overplay centre midfielders, and you can really make it compact and put loads of energy in there to make it a nightmare for Man U. But we made it so easy for Man U to come back. Like, one mistake that Man U didn't earn coming back from that 1-0. They generally got it put on the plate for me, and that's what frustrates me. That's what the way in which we lost the loot. Like, if Man United battered us and Spurs battered us, and we wasn't in the game, and I didn't feel like we could have given more of a game, I'd accept it. But I don't feel like that was the case, and that's what makes it frustrating for me. What was you going to say, Dave? Jump in. What was you going to say? Sorry.
Just gonna that point there with the Man United and the Spurs games is they were fortunate. I know it's not a fortunate thing, but they were fortunate to get 2 injuries that changed the way the game panned out for them.
Yeah.
You know, I can't remember who got injured for Man United now, but Richarlison going off, Basuma came on, he changed the game, the way the game was going.
I think you're right.
When Ronaldo came on, he changed the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just going to say on what you said. This is interfering, carrying with what you're saying. But it was Martial that got injured for Man U, and Ronaldo come on, which I feel like massively went against us. And then, like you say, Richarlison wasn't doing nothing, and Richarlison come off, and Basuma come on and made them look a lot better. So it was kind of luck. Go on, carry on, Dave.
The overran us in midfield. That was what it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But going back to last night's substitutions, what Luke was going on about, like, is using the sub sparingly. For me, taking off TCL, obviously, it was needed because he's only played a short amount of football. But then bringing on Mopey and knocking it long, he's never going to win that ball in the air. We were still playing with the same game plan. Now, even the commentator said on the telly last night, when you've got somebody like a Mopey, you've got to be a bit more precise. With Calvert-Lewin, you can knock it up the field and hope that he can get on the end of it. But the simple fact of the matter is, he's feeding off scraps. Like, I don't even think there was one ball put in. There was one time Damari Gray, that time when Damari Gray got down the wing, actually got into the box and knocked the ball across the goal. And it went out to the other side of the pitch, and the Newcastle player run onto it. There was no Everton players in that area to pick up the second ball.
That's where you wanted Mupé and Calvert-Lewin in the box, and probably Patterson. Coleman. So I read a tweet. Coleman didn't get forward. Normally, the left back crosses it, and the right back's in the box, back post, and there was no one there.
The full backs are not offering anything going forward. You know, what's the point in having Vinagre on loan if you're not going to use him? If Michalenko can't get forward, he's not great at defending. He's not great at passing. Then give Vinagre a shot. He's a bit quicker as well.
All right, lads.
Right.
Well, I think you're being a bit hard on me here, don't you think?
Oi, Frank, are you happy with Liz going?
Oh. No, I think, I don't think you see the hard work the lads put in on a training pitch, right? They put it in, and as much as you say Neil Maupay is a bit short, you should see the work he puts in. He's 10 foot tall.
On stilts.
You know what? Stilted, whatever you want to call it. Stilton, get some nice cheese in there, whatever you want to say. I just think we need to put these matches behind us and keep trucking on. And it's terrible news about Liz, isn't it?
Oh, so terrible. I'm going to be crying all night.
What a classic.
I am so devastated for Liz Truss. I am so devastated that she lasted less time than a bloody head of lettuce.
It's crazy that they did. I know this is about Everton only, but we can hit that for 1 second. We can do what we want. This is a random. Sometimes we'll chuck one in for you that's just a complete entertainer, and this seems to be that. But it's crazy that this. A lot are saying Boris might be back. Do you think that he'll be back in?
Yeah,
oh, good grief.
Anyway, let's not.
Let's not even hit that. Let's not hit that. You can talk about that for 20 hours, can't you?
You just have Frank Dettori on. No, Frankie Dettori.
Yeah. Well, he's maybe another short one that can join Neil Maupay up front. Peter says, did anyone really expect DCO to win the duels against Newcastle? The guy can jump. I mean, Shah's tall. Everton says Holgate starts me instead of Coleman. And I think, we need to
I want to see, on what Dave was saying, I think he's right. I don't know whether Rondon was on the bench, but I didn't like Lampard's subs because I'm the same. I'm thinking, right, it's the end of the game. We can't pass it through the line, so we're going to have to try the long ball at the end of the game. So you're going to be lofting it up to try and win the game. And we bring Mupé on to loft it up to. I would rather have seen us bring, and I don't like this player that much, by the way, but I'd rather have seen us bring Rondon and Mupé up next to him because I want to see Calvert-Lewin play with Mupé because I think Mopé with Calvert-Lewin could be a good combination because Calvert-Lewin can hold it up and knock it down, and Mupé can be the predator around him because that's the sort of player he is. predator around him to like get on the ball and get the goals. I could see that combination working. I think play them two together. Mupe needs someone that's going to win the ball for him, and he'll find space, and he can be dangerous in the box.
I'm still trying to figure out who this Mupe is.
Moonpie. I figured still trying to figure out how to say his name. No one likes him anyway, so I might as well say.
Dan, you're going to get under fire while you get some of the regulars on here, mate, because like I let it slide because I don't want to embarrass you. Like, but Mupe.
Oh, mate, how can you embarrass me? If you see me on the channel, I don't get embarrassed. Face paint a lot.
But it's an interesting point that, okay, if you bring Mope on and have those sort of two up front, playing off each other in a kind of way that we had like Cahill in that sort of complementary role. Obviously, he could jump. But if you do that, who do you sacrifice in midfield when, in terms of the centre of the pitch and midfield, we're not dominating, controlling, or even contesting games as well as we could? So, that kind of, to me, sorry to sound very sort of contrived, but it leads me to the next point of, people have been mentioning it and do keep the comments up. But who do you then turn to potentially in January if we're going to make some acquisitions? Because presumably there's some players we can shift on. We've moved some stuff off the books in terms of long term, because my dad discussed this at some point, and it's been maybe done to death by a few people who are not necessarily in the know, but not knowledgeable about how accounts work, that we are in a position to make some signings. As long as we, that it's balanced in the books. So, I mean, is that a turn? Do we go for Mohamed Kudus again? Do we turn for Ben Brereton Diaz?
I don't think that we'll get Kudus. I really don't.
He's been
I
too
think he's
good.
out of our league now.
Yeah, he's been too good. I think if he was good, like Diaz that went to the red shirt, your chance was there and you're not going to get it again. It's frustrating because we're obviously got the right eye for the player, because that Diaz for the red shirt looks like a good player we missed out on because of the Rodriguez frigging little thing holding it up. But it's the same with
leave, Dan.
Yeah, it would have been a good signing. That would have. It's just the kind of player we're crying out for now, isn't it? And then
another
you've got
guy was the one Wolves, that Nunes, is it? He was another guy that we should have got.
Yeah,
who's at Wolves now?
You can't mess about.
You Nunes or someone.
Every window is going to be different, isn't it? I think the options are going to be different that come up.
Neves.
No,
Ruben Neves.
Matthias Nunes, is it?
The sentiment. The sentiment. I know what he means. Was linked to him for about 2 years, and they spent 40 million on him, so we wouldn't have paid the money for him, would we? Really? But he is a good player.
When I've seen him, I haven't seen him. I don't think. I mean, he's in the poor team at the moment, but he's not playing that well. I don't think.
I mean, Luke, from your point of view, I mean, obviously, I know you're. Well, I'll just come out in there and ask it then. Who do you think that? Do you think there's any positions that we need to desperately change personnel, and if so, who would you look to?
I mean, quite frankly, we need to change the personnel when it comes to the striker. Now, granted, Calvert-Lewin's been a great little saving for us for the past 4 or 5 years now. So I think it would be a bit our last getting rid of him in such a way. But quite frankly, I think he served his purpose. People know what he's like now. See if we can get, say, 30 million for him at the most. And then from there, invest it in someone who's got good potential. Now, I know for a fact the comment section is probably going to slate me for this, but I would love to see Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney is one of those sorts of players. He's the player that I think would actually benefit very much from being in our squad, because he can operate on his own. He's an
old type centre forward, Luke.
He is. He's a classic centre forward, like you said. And he's the type of centre forward that Everton needs. I mean, Calvert-Lewin's as I said, he is a great forward. But as I've said many a times, I'll say it till the end of the earth, he's good with headers, but he's shit with his feet.
He was good under that Ancelotti, though. He had a lot of one-touch finishes under Ancelotti, but then he got injured and he sort of lost that now, I think, hasn't he?
I think he can be good. I think he can be good with his feet. It's because he's coming back, and when you're not sharp, you're not as good at holding the ball up. I do think Calvert-Lewin is going to help us big time. I was really, I don't know how you lot feel, but I was really happy to see him get 70 minutes under his belt, because I know he's injury prone, but if you can get a fully fit Calvert-Lewin, when he was pushing into that England squad, I was contemplating whether he could get in over Kane. I was thinking Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he was as good as Kane, but Calvert-Lewin was really good under Carlo, and if we can get him back to that,
The problem he's got though is that like when you get these players, he's still only a young lad, but he seems to be getting injuries that keep him out for weeks and weeks. Like if you get these young kids now to get an injury, like look at don't like to mention him, but Trent got injured last week, come off the bench the other day. You know what I mean? That's not happening with Calvert-Lewin. He gets that injury, he's out for 6-8 weeks. You know what I mean?
I think the problem with that is more down to the fact that what Calvert-Lewin's done could be the how can I put it, the hindrance in his career. What happens is when young players try and play with an injury, they aggravate it to the point where it's going to be persistent. It's likewise with James Rodriguez and Yerry Mina. They both, when they were younger, plays with an injury. It made it a lot worse. You had to get surgery. That surgery isn't 100% guaranteed. And from there, you only ever get like maybe 4 or 5 games at the top level, and then you have to take a break for a bit because that injury sparks up again. You have to get surgery on it again, and it's just a constant cycle.
Luke, the physio. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. You make a good point because I'm obviously playing football myself. I think if you don't let the injury fully heal and you rush someone back like we've done many a times, then you're gonna aggravate that injury and it never heals and it becomes a problem. And I feel like that's what we've done, being desperate a lot of times. We've definitely done it with Decore because Decore a couple of times we've rushed him back and he wasn't the same. So maybe fully fit, he might be all right. I'm not saying that the topic wasn't about Decore, but it's just another player that I know that we've rushed back before and he's got injured again. It's happened quite a lot.
I mean, I'm glad the way that Jeff... Oh.
We've got to give DCL time to get match fit. It's as simple as that. He's our best chance of getting goals at the moment, and you've got to give him the chance to get match fit. Can't be expecting major things. And plus the fact that, we was all getting excited at the beginning of the season. Not so much in the signings, but we had somebody with a left foot in Dwight McNeil. Everyone was going, yeah, he'll throw balls into the box, and you've got Anthony Gordon on the other side. He's going to be creating. Then you've got Andros Townsend coming back, and you've got Damari Gray. He's another one. You look at last night, not one of them threw a ball into the box for him.
Well, exactly as you say, Dave. I mean, I was on the phone with Jeff the other day, and I'm glad I just put his comment up there about the acquisitions: creative midfielder, proper winger, creative midfielder to dominate midfield, proper winger to get the ball in or to cut into the box, and a striker. And he said Tony's a great shout. We were talking that based on his current form, we'd rather have Ivan Toney playing in his form than DCL. And it's just exactly as you said. To have that kind of delivery, or even DCL off his game, you'd think if we're going to get some crosses in, I mean, 10, 20 crosses in, you can at least expect a few headers on target then.
It's Ivan Toney's going to the World Cup, isn't he? He's going to go to the World Cup out of absolutely nowhere. He got rejected by Newcastle years ago, and now he's going to be going to a World Cup.
Fair play to the lad.
Yeah, I mean, brilliant.
I mean, everyone knows this story of Haaland having a trial with Everton and getting told basically in the nicest way possible, nah, you're not having it.
You're not good enough.
According to Steve Walsh, it was something about he was a very effective striker, but he felt like he was flourishing too soon.
He probably wasn't going to cost enough, or he was going to cost not enough money.
It was $1 million.
We wouldn't sign anyone. We wouldn't sign anyone on a good deal.
$1 million, apparently. They wanted $1 million for him when he was 14.
No,
we wouldn't spend that much little money.
We want to spend about 80 million.
Yeah, we want to go and spend mega bucks on players that are bang average.
I think. Do you feel like we're doing business good now? I know we're saying Mupé was probably not the right signing, but I still feel we can get better out of Mupé if we're playing with a centre forward.
I don't think Mupé was a bad signing. I think he's a nusuce.
We keep hearing that though, don't we? I don't think he is either.
I think that he's a player that, given the right service, can be an absolute nuisance to defenders. That's something that Calvert-Lewin is not. He's good at knocking the ball down, and he's quick. That's about it.
It's I mean, it's. I don't want to speak ill of players that haven't necessarily even had a fair crack, because he's only had a handful of starts.
But he's going to anyway.
Well, no, because we've fundamentally changed the team from last season by having changing the two centre backs, so that especially when they're solid. I mean, I suppose it gets in the players' minds that okay, we can rely on them, and there's a certain sense of certainty, so that's maybe contributes to the passing back. And when there's a lack of confidence ahead of them, then they think, okay, I don't want to lose the ball. I don't want to jeopardize this. I don't want to make a silly mistake that gets the players on my back, that risks my starting position when I'm building up. You know, there's a whole host of contributory factors that build to this sort of perfect storm of being so precarious. And if things don't go our way, then it's a downward slope, which kind of leads me to go, you know, I think it touches on maybe, you know, Dan and Jeff's heated argument last video, or the one before, you know, which for me boils down to our general expectations for this season. You know, like we're talking about the next 4 matches, and is it fair to expect 9 or 10 points? You know, and I mean, certainly we've got Wolves on Boxing Day. Do you think that? I mean, Jason's just asked again. Sorry, could Ben Brereton be an option?
Would you want money for him? They want stupid money for him. He's just signed a 12-month deal, hasn't he? And they want ridiculous money for him. For somebody who's not proven.
It makes me wonder then that with the squad that we've got, or with the acquisition, you know, if we do make 1 or 2 signings in January, because you have to be very smart about how we do business at the moment, and you don't want to upset a team that's still embedding, you know, and still gelling together. I mean, that's just my take on it. I mean, we've got to
be very careful though, because I still think we've got enough there to stay up. We need to be better, that's for sure, to do it. But I feel like we've got enough to stay up. But I don't want us to start acting desperate and start bringing in crap players this winter and mess our future up.
Everyone tends to panic in January and buy players that are mediocre.
That's it, Dave.
We've done it. And
they don't go, and then they don't go. We've only just got ourselves in a situation when we've got a lot of those players off the books. It takes a long time because the contracts are 4 or 5 years, and if we go and bring in, because we're still unsure whether McNeil's going to be good enough, and the players we brought in are going to be good enough. So you don't want to take too many risks, because I feel going into that new ground with the signings we've made with Cody Tarkowski, Onana, good young talent coming up, we've done really well with business. I don't want us to start thinking, oh, let's just get this striker, overpaying him, not be good, or get some flop players, because every player that comes in now for me has to be good.
What I don't get, right, and lots of managers do, it's not just Lampard, is everybody knows when you bring Dwight McNeil on, he's all left foot. Yeah, he puts him out on the right. So a defender, Dan Burns, going to go, well, he's just want to kind of come in on his left all the time. So I'll just shepherd them out or shepherd them down the wing. You know what I mean? It's easy to defend against. Play him out on the left-hand side, get him whipping balls in.
Do you think that's a massive weakness that he is only good on his left foot? Because most wingers now are both-footed. Do you think it makes him predictable?
Right position, no. If he's played on the left, it can be a strength because he can whip them balls in for Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or Onana. Onana's a threat in the air. Okay, at the moment, he's not showing greatness with his heading. But if he's getting balls whipped into him, if he's getting 10 balls whipped into him, and Calvert-Lewin's getting 10 balls whipped into them every game, you can count at least 1 or 2 of them are going on target. You know what I mean? But if he's got a player that's coming in from the right on his left foot, that's a sort of a steep angle to get a ball in from, to get a decent.
Which begs the question then: if you're going to make the argument for, I'm not criticizing it. It's just how I'm setting up the sentence. Is if you can make the argument for putting McNeil on the left, and then Iwobi is either on the left or you could even say on the right, because he cuts in, he's right-footed, he could deliver crosses, and then Gordon, well, he's a winger, but then you could maybe play him behind Mope or DCL. Why? here's a question that maybe it's not as far as I'm aware, it's not been raised on the channel this far this season. Why don't we have rotating wingers where McNeil can swap from left and right, Iwobi can swap from left and right, Gordon has 5 minutes in the middle, and they just keep swapping so that
that's what he was doing.
Yeah,
Well,
but
yeah,
they swap
last
after
couple
like
of- he
20
didn't do it
minutes or
last
25.
night. He didn't do it last night. He had Damari Gray constantly on the left and Gordon on the right. Now, the last 2 games, he switched them, but he didn't do it last night.
But why don't you give the players... Sorry, Luke, go for it.
Sorry, just a very quick one on that one. I think that one's more between Damari Gray and Anthony Gordon. What they do is, during the play, they do swap freely, but I think that's something between them, and I think Frank has actually told them, stick to your fucking position. Pardon me for the French.
Well, but I don't think it should be down to them. I think your manager should be saying, if the manager watches the game, he's supposed to be the football magician. The game is supposed to go in his head, like on the pitch, how it goes in his head. And if Lampard sees that Gordon's not having a good game on the right, he goes, Gordon, get over there. You switch there. And Lampard's got to be the dictator of the game. And that's why I say I want him. I'm not saying Lampard out. I want him to step his game because he's got to be stricter with these players. Some of these players look like they can turn up and like they're in control of their own game. Your manager should be in control of your game. Your manager should be looking over you, every player, and wanting them to play in a certain way. And it doesn't seem for me that we've got that at the minute. A lot of players are getting away with playing how they want. And sometimes that's just sloppy and lazy. It doesn't feel like there's enough pressure on them to perform 110%.
The thing is, in January, we don't need defenders, do we? Like, we're more than that. Like, if you look at so far this season, off the top of your head, can you recall any goals that have come from defensive mistakes?
Probably one, and that was down to Tarkowski not closing down quick enough.
So
and even then, that was before we got Cody.
But you look at last season and the season before, and you could not say that. You couldn't say the amount of goals we shipped was mainly because of defensive mistakes and losing the ball in midfield.
That's what's frustrating for me, though. You make a really good point that the defence, it's very frustrating to be losing and you feeling like Tarkowski and Cody have had a good game.
They've been
and
brilliant,
you think, they've done nothing wrong.
Stop making so many good points because you'll put me and Dan out of a job.
Yeah, I know.
They've been solid. They've known where they've had to be at all times. The positional, like I've said it before, Michael Keane has the turning circle of a super tanker. Do you know what I mean? It takes him about a mile to stop and turn around.
I don't know, who's that? Jonathan David? I'm guessing Jonathan David or David, maybe, if he's at Lille. And anyone heard of him?
I don't. The thing is with me, I don't even look at transfers at the minute because my attitude is we haven't got those players at the minute.
Wait until they're signed, yeah.
Yeah, well, wait until the window because it's so easy to go to the go-to saying, oh, we won't be good until we get the window. That's not the case. What you do now could keep you in the league. We don't know how this season's going to go. Every game, we should learn that from last season, and I was hoping that we did. Every game matters. We stayed up by one game last season. So generally, you can't moan about what you've got. And Lampard, when he got this job, he can't moan about what he's got. He's still got to get the best out of what he's got. And he's brought in some good players. So he's got to find a way to get them playing the best they can. You've got to play the hand, don't you? That's the thing. That's the way I see it with these players. There is some good players now.
Go on, Yann.
No. Sorry, Dave. Keep going, mate.
No, the thing is we're sort of trying to compete with one arm tied behind our backs because there's a sort of a league of levels of players, and depending on where you are in the league is depending on what level of player you get. The Man Cities get the Haalands and stuff like that, and the other shite they turn out and tend to get the likes of the Salahs and the Manes and stuff like that, and we end up with sort of a polished an uncut gem in the Onana. Do you know what I mean? So there's levels.
Yeah, I think that is the problem. That is right because that is the problem. Like because we're not doing well, we haven't got that pull. So we have to go for a player like a diamond in the rough, like a player that's got potential, but isn't what he needs to be yet. And if you go and sign a player that's got potential that isn't what he needs to be yet, like we've done with Onana, and you play him, and then all of a sudden our fans expect him to be that straight away, and it's not going to happen, is it? You've got to wait for him to be the good player.
Like Frank's got apparently he's got the patter and the pull to players because Onana wants to come, Cody wants to come, but that doesn't attract the top talent. Only goes so far.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. Frank Lampard, and this is kind of the two, maybe the final 2 points kind of merged together. Is that we are currently when I say mid-table, we're talking 12th, 13th if we do okay, right? But when you look at the Premier League, it was a perfect storm for Leicester when they won it. No team goes from our position to then winning the league anymore. It just doesn't happen, especially the standard of football, the standard of fitness that they are, and the sheer physical prowess that footballers have, especially those that are top quality when they've spent their entire lives. It's not just going through some academy, and being spotted at 15, 16 and he's a bit quick and he can hit a shot quite well. Now that you end up with this stratification in the league where, them lot and City and obviously Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, United have had a bit of a blip, but you end up with the top tier of teams, and the same as like PSG, which is a one-horse race in France, and Real and Barcelona with their academies and the money that they negotiate separately. You end up with these. So in the Premier League, we've got those top teams that you could argue are the top two, which are the top two of the top 5 or 6, and then you've got the rest. And of the rest, you end up with somewhere between 1, 2, and maybe 4 or 5 teams that really struggle for a combination of reasons. Either they're really poor, or they don't have the depth of a squad, or they sack their manager prematurely and they don't get the bounce back from appointing another one, or like us last season, we have the hangover of appointing some managers that didn't do it, that tried to impose and then disrupt the squad and the whole Everton dynamic, that then changed the backroom staff, and then we had a catalogue of injuries. So we're in this situation where, for me, I'm not to disagree or throw a spanner in the works or get Dan upset, that I could see very much where Jeff was coming from. We have to be realistic.
No, because I'm never going to be. I'm never going to be negative. I'm never going to be. We're shit, so we need to accept it.
We have to be realistic that we are not very good at the moment.
Yeah. We're not going to attract major players.
I don't think we're good now. I don't say that, but I generally say we could be playing better than what we are. I always expect the best from my players.
So factoring in all that situation that we're in, right? We're not all that. And then if we get rid of Lampard, who is possibly one of the few shining lights that we've got, Thelwell has demonstrated we've made some great acquisitions, and even the targets that we had that we didn't sign have proven that they would have been good acquisitions. So we're doing things right. To then get rid of a manager that we've got that's got some cachet, that's got some prestige and some draw, even if some players aren't going to sign for us because of the situation we're in, to get rid of the only possible shining light that we've got to attract the caliber of players that we could consider ourselves lucky to get, it would be foolish. Sorry.
Yeah, he's the only manager really. Ancelotti did get the fans on side a bit, but I think he's the only manager since maybe Martinez's first season that's actually gets us and the fans get him, and he gets the fans. You know what I mean? I think everybody else that's come since Martinez's first season just hasn't got the club and doesn't sort of like, just doesn't get us. Frank seems to get us from the very start.
Yeah, I think Marco Silva wasn't necessarily a bad manager. He just wasn't as on side with the Everton spirit and the fan base. He was just too
robot.
Reserved. Sorry,
he was a robot.
Yeah, he was too quiet and withdrawn, and we want a manager that's going to be, stick it to him. And Frank, although he's obviously going to be diplomatic and say that, and not say that, he's very much, look at him. He was up on the balcony.
For me, it's not Frank out, because Frank has, like I said, there's good things about him, but it is Frank step it up. That's what it is for me. He's got to step it up. I don't think Frank out, because he's got so many things. Like he's got the fans on his side, but he needs to make sure he keeps them on his side. That's why I say he's got to step it up. I sometimes feel
Dan wants Frank out, because he keeps saying, I don't want Frank out.
Yeah, I'm 50-50. No, not really. I do get frustrated with Frank, because I don't want him out, because I do love him, and no one's wanted him to succeed more than me. I just worry whether he's good tactically in the head as a manager.
Anyone in the comment? I'm Franking as well. Yeah, exactly. And David's just said invest time in Frank, because he's been here less than a year. Is there anyone, potentially Luke, because I think myself, Dan, and Dave trust Frank? Is there anyone in the comments who thinks that there's an argument to sack Frank Lampard? And if so, what's your belief in it? And please do put it in a comment, not just I'm sick of this and we deserve better. Give us some reasoning. But Luke, have you got any thoughts on that?
I mean, quite frankly, no pun intended on that one. Frank Lampard is the best thing that we can have at the moment. I mean, we could turn around and go, oh, what about Nunes, who's now without a team? Yeah, you could get Nunes if you want the entire Portuguese team with you. But like I said, at this point, he's basically everything that you need in a manager now, especially in the Premier League. He's played in this league pretty much his entire career. He's got the bloody silverware to back it up. He's a massive pedigree, and he can actually bring that. It probably, I would actually like to say that it shows in the midfield. He's gotten that midfield under his belt, and he said, "This is how I played. Try and do what I did, and see how that does for you." Because you see that in the likes of Iwobi, Onana, not exactly a Trezeguet. I mean, a Trezeguet at the moment, I think that's more just a time period where he needs to sort of, bed in proper with Everton, because he's been away from us. He's been in a completely different league. And I mean, the French league, it is quite literally a farmers league, again, in comparison to anything like the Spanish, German, or even our league. It is a nobody's league. It's, yeah.
One thing I was just going to say now, we've let you two on, and we'll do this as a wild card thing sometimes, to just let the people in the comments come on, because I think it's fun, and we'll try and give you, like, everyone 20 minutes or so and make it more organised next time, because we didn't even know we was going to do this, but we'll end it on 40, Yann, so we've got like 8 minutes now to shut this off, I think, because we don't, like, Dave's come on. We don't know whether he's got plans or Luke. It's been a wild one, hasn't it, Yann? Because me and Yann come on the channel and we literally said, let's just see if someone wants to come on, because I generally we're stressed, and Everton, and we're depressed with them, and we just wanted to speak to a few new Everton fans. Dave's come on out of the blue, and he's not even been ready. We don't know whether we've gone over his plans. Same with Luke, and it's been good. It's been good.
I've just got to apologise to anyone watching, by the way, who was looking hopeful for sexy singles near you. I did just have to block sexfine.pro. Terribly sorry about that.
I thought we got them on.
I think we did with Brian. Do you know what, though? To people listening who's watched this, because this has been a random one, not for you two on, but for Ryan. But we didn't know Ryan was going to come on the channel. We generally thought that was a guest.
Yeah,
me and Yann.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
like if anyone was,
what's that, Dave? Yeah, he is funny, to be fair. He made me laugh then, because I didn't know it was him. And at first, I thought to myself, what about if it isn't him? And I've just completely laughed my head off at someone random that's just come on the channel. This could go completely wrong, but luckily it wasn't.
Ozzy Osbourne.
It looked like it, didn't it? He was dressed good. It did make me laugh. It cheered me up a little bit.
I was a bit concerned. I suspected it was Ryan. Right,
but I didn't
want to. Yeah, Robbie wants Francis back ASAP. I suspected it was Ryan, but not having seen him, and the fact that what appeared to be a legitimate profile on Facebook sent me a message saying, "Oh, can I please get on? I watch you all the time." Like,
you didn't know, Yann, because you were speaking to him proper, and you wasn't sure until late on. You generally thought, because you was being dead professional, and I thought straight away, this can't be this has got to be someone different. And when he come on dressed, oh my God, that made me laugh. It definitely cheered me up. It's been a funny one.
Right.
What do you want to? What's your question to wrap up? Then a short, quick, brief point. Like we'll say, I think on your bullet points, Yann, you were saying, like, what should we kind of say? What do you think is going to happen now? Like that sort of attitude. That's the last question.
Oh yeah, it was sort of season expert. Oh my God! I mean, I've just been spamming the group chat.
Have you? Like just a little brief one now. What do you want from the next 2 games? Let's just go with that. End it on that, Yann. Do you think? What do you want from the next 2 games?
The next 2 games, or
yeah, like because we say this next 2 games are very big games. So what do you want to see for you to be happier the next 2 games? Like what do you want?
I want to see a fight against Palace. I want to see us neutralise Zaha. I want to see us hungry and cut into the box, and I want at least 5 or 6 shots on target. I want something to happen. I want the players to. I don't care so much if we potentially make a pass forward and it gets intercepted or it pings out. I just want to see that hunger to actually play the ball forward and to drive into the final third.
Yeah, bit of drive forward, bit of forward impetus. That's it. Like instead of all this sideways and backwards, slowing the play down. We've got pace in our team where we can catch teams on the counter. Yeah. We never do it. We very rarely do it.
The thing is, though, Dave.
Go on, Dan.
The thing is, just as to what you're saying, because I like some of the stuff you're saying. It's okay. This is what we've learned as well. You can have Gray and Gordon as fast as you like, but if your midfielders don't put them in the positions where their pace can be effective, the pace means nothing. And that's what we haven't been doing, I feel. We haven't been using them to their strengths. We give it to them isolated when they've got the back to someone.
No, because we get the ball. The ball gets passed into midfield. Someone puts the foot on it instead of knocking it on to the next pass.
Yeah, 100%. Well, do you know when Gordon and Gray have been good? It's when you catch teams out, when Gordon and Gray can run into loads of space. But we pass the ball back and let teams set. And when teams are set, Gordon and Gray, it's very hard to run at opposition then. So we need to be faster. If you move the ball fast, you're going to catch the opposition out of position when they attack you. And that's where our pace can be effective for me. I think that's a good point.
All the good teams move the ball at pace.
Yeah. Lampard did it, though. That's what Lampard did. That's why I'm surprised we're not doing it, because Lampard was one of the best at it, driving the ball, wasn't he, at speed?
I saw moments of it against Newcastle. It was just that Newcastle did it so much better than we did that there was... Do you see what I mean? I don't know what you think, Luke, when you look back on that.
Looking at that game, quite frankly, what I saw from it was mostly Newcastle just trying to stifle us. When we try to push forwards, what you end up finding is any of our usual outlets, which what we normally do is the ball goes through the middle. Once it gets to the middle of the field, in the middle, it goes wide. And from there, it goes into the box for Calvert-Lewin or Mopé to try and clean up on. And a lot of teams are clicking onto this now. So what's more than likely going to happen, and we're going to see this from the future onwards, is their defense will spread wide when they see us going through the middle. It's very rare for us to actually go from, say, Pickford's at the back right through to the other opposition's box, right through the middle. You barely ever see it. It always goes as a wide option for some reason, and we haven't done it. We haven't done it since Sigurdsson. Since Sigurdsson got legged. We've never had anyone called Sigurdsson in this squad. Hang on, you can't see the glasses.
But we haven't had it since he got legged.
The Icelandic guy.
All we've done is play down the wings. There's been no playmaker through the middle.
But that's where it confuses me, because Onana is meant to be one of these sorts of players where he plays great with the ball at his feet. So why not try and utilise him and have it keep going, putting it through the middle?
And he seems to have a fantastic ability to even to stick his foot in last minute, to get it, to knock it away, to retain possession. Like, I think he has got something there. But
he's got to grow. He's like a newborn baby, isn't he? He's not used to this league. He wasn't match fit when he come over. He is going to be. He's got the confidence to be what we need in centre midfield. That personality that gets us breaking the lines, but he's very raw.
He's shown flashes of having good feet.
Aston Villa, wasn't it?
I agree with Luke on that. He's shown flashes of having good feet for the size of him, and he's quick as well for the size of him. You know what I mean?
Definitely, he's definitely got it.
I just think that he's wasted in where the position that he is. I think it's just a waste.
He reminds me of Fellaini because Fellaini, you never knew whether to play in the number 6 or higher up in the number 10 position, and he reminds me of that.
So what I will say is just to cap it all off. Sorry, because we could talk for hours about how frustrating
it's been a long one, but it's been fun.
It's the story of a lifetime, really. But if we can get, in an ideal world, if we can do that and get 6 points from these next 2 games, and then hopefully, there might be even points against Leicester being bottom of the table, because although they might have been scoring more goals than us, they've been hemorrhaging goals. So
they're shocking at set pieces.
Yeah, but if we can get 9 points or 7 points from those, we will be on track again back to safety. But I think, sorry to sort of cut any points off there. We're going to maybe keep going round and round and round like we're lost on a roundabout.
We'll do another one, Jan. We'll make it more organised where we get just literally, because this has been quite a long one because we've had a few on, but we'll do it where we just get a guest in 20 minutes, have a chat, get another one in. Like 2 minutes at the same time.
There's a bit of a congestion when we come back for Wolves, City, Brighton. I mean, who knows? Maybe Man City will have half their team out injured from the World Cup.
They'd still beat us.
Yeah, probably. It's been fun though because it's good to put like you see people in the comments, but to put a face to them, it's cracking. Dave, top man. It's been nice chatting to you, and Luke. I've spoken to you a few times. Right. I have seen Luke before. Never met Dave before. I have seen Luke, so I've got him on Twitter. I've probably got Dave on Twitter as well, to be fair.
I have. But I like to give you a bit of flack now and again, Dan.
Yeah. Well, that many people do. I don't. Right. It's all good though, isn't it?
For everyone joining us for this better part of 2 hours, thank you very much. Thank you again, Luke from School of Science. Really appreciate you joining us. And Dave,
from Everton,
anytime you want to come on. We don't. You might end up taking my job. What I've got to do there before I go is I've just got to point out, Luke, in the background, you've got a Rainbow Toffees top, which are available to buy to sponsor. Because I think it's a fantastic thing. They're a great cause, promoting the inclusivity and everyone being welcome at Everton, regardless of who you are. It's all about love for the Blues. Now, what I do want to point out is if you want to get in touch with Rainbow Toffees on Twitter, they are having a fundraising night, not this Friday, next Friday, at the 28th at the, if you want to speak to them, I think it's the Farmers Arms in Clubmoor. Now, what they're actually doing is at the Wrexham game, there was a player who, I got to say, I heard it. It was hideous. Snapped his Achilles, and it was horrific. And unfortunately, the guy's self-employed as I think a roofer or a joiner, and he's got himself and his wife and a couple of young kids. So he's not got any means of an income for at least 4 months. So what they're going to do is they have like a race night there. Everton have sending stuff to me to auction off. I might do a poem or something like that, but it should be a fun, fantastic night if you can get there. To anyone watching,
that's I didn't know about that, Jan. That's cracking because, like you say, I know playing football that's why I don't play now. If you play football when you work, it can be very dangerous if you get an injury.
That's a belter top. That I wish Everton was playing in that. It's a belter top. That
you want to watch it.
No red in it though, is the?
There's only a little bit of red, yeah.
That isn't even red, in all fairness. It's like a deep orange more than red.
You want to watch it?
Orange.
You want to watch you don't rip that. It's just been Jim. He wants to watch you don't rip that.
Like that.
Come back from the gym.
I'm still waiting for the phone call off Bill Kenwright to say he's got me a job at Everton being the club poet, But again,
Jan's got the contacts. I don't think we realise how much of a big timer Jan is. It's like Jan's got the contacts. Like Bill, if you know Jan, you know Jan. Jan's like in. Everyone loves Jan, don't they? Yanndalf.
Jan, you should be Everton's Martin Sheen for the Wales squad. Have you seen that motivational speech he gives to the Wales squad? That should be you, Dan, for Everton. Jan.
I thought you said me then. You did say me then, so I'm going to take that as well.
No,
can you imagine?
Dan,
I know.
Mr. Positive.
Can you imagine my speech? Bloody hell, I'd be useless.
You couldn't be Mr. Motivator, Dan.
Yeah, I'll just give Yann the.
Can
I'll
you
give
take
Yann
like
the
the
massage
jaws?
before. Yeah, I'll give him the massage before he goes on. Give
Right,
him the positive massage.
On that note, I'm kicking us all out.
Yeah, I know.
It's been great. Join
love
us,
it.
I think, Friday. Oh, tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. It's Thursday today. Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, we will be having Ryan and
Without
Dan.
his wig. Without his wig.
I don't know who you're talking about. He might even have Francis on at the same time. We'll be
Yeah.
doing a preview of the Palace match. I don't know whether I'll be free as yet, but thanks again for watching. Really appreciate it, guys. Love
We'll
you
do
all.
this.
Thank-
Like I say, I'll push for this for you two to be on once every 3 weeks or something like that, because it'll be. You seem to have enjoyed it. Up the fucking Toffees.
Up the fucking
Up the
Toffees,
fucking
boys.
Toffees, guys.
That's the one.